are certain ways you study which you think are effective ways of studying, but they are not. And that is the major reason why you find it so difficult and challenging to remember anything you study in the exam. While I was in the university, there are certain ways I study which I thought are the right ways of studying. Along the line, these study techniques that I actually thought was good for me, they actually gave me the results I actually wanted, and I failed my exam consistently. But not until I found these techniques, which I'll be showing you right here onto this video. Before I take you through the effective ways you can study, there are certain things you do which you think are effective ways of studying, but they are not. So I'll be taking you through those things you do and you think are effective ways of studying. Now, the first one is rereading, the second one is highlighting, the third one is mass practice, and the fourth one is block practice. So I'll be taking you through each of these as we go along in this video, and afterwards I'll be showing you the exact process you should take in order for you to study effectively. These reasons I stated are study techniques which enhance the short time memory. Now, the short time memory has a limited capacity, and if you read at any point in time, it's just a working memory, and there are tendencies that anything you put there does not have a tendencies of staying there for a long time. And while using all these techniques that I stated, you think you know what you are reading at any point in time, but afterwards you discover that everything you read has just gone. The first one is rereading. Rereading is just like you rereading what you want to study over and over again, and without even testing yourself when you are doing this. And this actually makes you believe that you know it, and it makes you believe that anytime you want to remember it, you just actually remember without testing yourself. And it's an ineffective way of studying, and you should stop doing it, because when you do this, it creates an illusion in your head and you feel that you know it because of the fact that you are so familiar with the text of your textbook or your notes at that point in time. And the second ineffective way you study at any point in time is highlighting. Most times when you are reading, you tend to highlight what you are reading without even you reflecting on what you are highlighting, or you asking yourself questions. And this actually creates an illusion in your brain as if you actually know what you are studying at that point in time, but you don't. I'm not saying you should highlight, but stop highlighting mindlessly. Try to reflect on what you are highlighting and test yourself without even you holding the book. So if you highlight mindlessly, it makes you feel that you know it's because of the fact that you have gotten so familiar with the text so much, but you can't actually recall what you read at that point in time. So the next one is mass practice. Most students fall into the trap of practicing what they want to study without spacing their study. For example, you want to learn a particular formula, or you want to learn a particular fact in your book. At that point, you tend to practice all over again and tend to recite the words to yourself all over again and again. This is a wrong way of reading, because it's actually enhance the short time memory, but at the long run you will not be able to recall. You didn't give your brain time to be able to process it. Another ineffective way you think is the best way you study, but then it cannot help you at any point in time, is block practice. Block practice is just focusing so much on a particular problem. Now, when you do this, you are not giving your brain the chance to be able to discriminate between problems. Why can't you just try to mix up things? All these things that I stated, which are ineffective ways of studying, are actually related to cramming. Because when you cram, you are not actually giving your brain time to process that information. I've pointed out all the ineffective ways of studying which didn't actually make you remember anything you study in your exam hall. Now let me go into the effective ways of studying, and I'll be taking you step by step on how to go through it. The first one is retrieval practice. The second one is spaced repetition. The third one is interleaving. The fourth one is elaboration. The fifth one is generation, and the sixth one is reflection. So I'll be taking you through each of these steps as we go on. Retrieval practice is a very good study technique you can employ anytime you want to study. The ineffective way of retrieval practice is actually rereading. Instead of rereading what you have in your book over and over again at a particular point in time, while you are reading, ask yourself these following questions. Ask yourself the definition of that particular concept you are trying to read. Try to reflect on that definition. Try to ask yourself, how can what I'm reading now connect to what I'm learning before. And by the time you are reading, instead of rereading, close the book and walk around. I try to retrieve what you are reading at will by active recall. If you do that, you are actually solidifying what you are reading. It's a form of feedback to know whether you are actually learning what you are learning or not. And when you are doing this, another form of retrieval practice is self-testing or quiz. Now, when you read a particular thing, close the book and state some specific questions about what you are reading down. Now, try to answer those questions. If you can answer those questions well, then you have actually learned that particular. But if you can't answer, then you have to go back and read it again. And another way you can do retrieval practice is to ask someone around to ask you questions on what you are studying at that particular moment. If you can do that and you can answer that question accurately, then you are studying effectively. The second way you can study effectively and remember everything you study is to space out your practice. Instead of mass practice like I explained earlier by just reading, if you space out your learning over an elapsed period, you are giving your brain time to be able to consolidate that thing you are trying to read at that point. And as well, you are actually transferring what you are reading to the long-term memory. The effort it will take you for you to recall what you are reading now in the long run will actually enhance that information in your brain and it will be solidified. So don't even mind if you find it difficult to recall, because it is part of the learning process. If you can actually force yourself to recall what you've read a few days ago without you holding the book, then you have actually learned it. But if you can't recall it, then go back and read it again. According to specific research, it is actually good if you forget a particular information and it takes you time to be able to recall it, because the effort it will take you to recall it solidifies that memory. And while you are employing this spaced repetition, always try to mix up activities with each other. When you are solving a particular topic in mathematics, try to mix it up with something else in accounting or economics. When you do this, you are actually giving your brain time to be able to process what you've read before and take up another task. But if you keep doing a single thing over and over again, your short-term memory will be filled up at that point. So try to mix up tasks while you are spacing your learning. So the next one is interleaving. Interleaving is just mixing up what you are reading now to something else that you'll be reading. With this, you'll be able to discriminate between what you are reading. Another effective way you can apply to study and be able to retain more and remember anything you study is elaboration. Elaboration is just simply connecting what you are reading now to what you've learned before. And whenever you want to do a retrieval practice, always ask your question, how does what you are reading now connect to what you already know before? If you can connect to what you already know before, your brain will set down a clue for you to be able to remember. And as well, another thing you can do when you want to practice elaboration is to connect what you are reading now to any real life example around you. If you can do that perfectly, your brain will be able to remember anything you study. And if you apply the retrieval practice and if you space out your learning, it's very easy for you. Another study technique you should employ, which is very effective, is generation. Generation is just simply trying to solve a problem without being taught that particular problem. The efforts you go through when you are solving a particular problem without being taught, it solidifies learning in a way, because if you find the solution eventually, it will be you'll be able to remember very well and vividly, instead of just when someone is just taking you that thing alone. So before your instructor, your teacher, or anybody teach you something, try to figure out the solution yourself. And the last study technique you should always use in order for you to remember anything is to reflect on what you are studying. Now, reflection is just thinking about what you are studying without you holding the book. And that's another form of retrieval practice. So reflect on what you are studying, relate to what you already know before. Try to solve problems without you being taught, and you will actually enhance the way you remember facts, and you have any issue trying to remember anything in your exam. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, please smash the like button and also please subscribe to the channel. You can check out this video on how you can overcome difficult subjects. So thank you so much for watching, and see you on the next one.